Hello, I'm Tom Coots, President of the Charlestown Historical Society, and today I'm sitting here with the Charlestown Historical Society's historian, Carl Zellner, who is going to be talking to us today about some of the more famous landmarks in Charlestown. We're focusing today not on the Bunker Hill Monument or the USS Constitution, but on the homes of Charlestown. So thank you, Carl, for being with us today.
Pleasure to be here.
We've picked 4 homes that we want to talk about. I know you had a lot more. You did a wonderful program a few months ago for us. But 4 homes in particular that I think would be of interest to our viewers. And when we were discussing it earlier, I thought the best way to do it is in order of age. And the oldest existing structure here in Charlestown is the Warren Tavern. There's a little bit of controversy, and I'm involved in the controversy because we're here in the offices of the Cooperative Bank, which has a plaque outside stating that it was the first home rebuilt after the British burnt down Charlestown, but none of the original structure remains, just a huge rock that's in our basement. But the Warren Tavern is the oldest existing structure. So tell us a little bit about that. We all know it has great food, some great beer, some great music on the weekends, but tell us a little bit about the structure itself.
Okay, of course, after the burning of Charlestown by the British during the Battle of Bunker Hill, it left Charlestown as more or less a blank slate in its ability to start over and build a whole new series of buildings to house the townspeople and also to give them places of employment. The Warren Tavern was built in 1780. Remember, the battle occurred in 1775, so this is only about 5 years after the town was decimated in the conflagration. So it was among the earliest houses or buildings built in Charlestown, but not the very earliest. That prize goes to some other dwellings that we'll talk about at another time. And literally, the Warren Tavern is not a residential house, but I decided to include it because of its significance and its visibility as one of the premier buildings of the town.
Let me ask you, Carl, when it was built in 1780, was it built as a tavern?
It was. It was from its earliest days a tavern. Elephant Newell, who was the owner of the property, decided that he wanted to run a tavern. So instead of a house, he put in the Warren Tavern and named it as such after the hero of the Battle of Bunker Hill. The provincial president and the major general showed up at the battle and asked Colonel Prescott to assign him as a frontline private. He wanted to wield a gun, yeah, and a musket, and participate at that level. So the Prescott said, "Go ahead and join the front line."
I find it interesting that the very first structure that was built in Charlestown was a tavern, and that it was actually built while the war was still going on.
Mm-hmm. That's right. The
Revolutionary War was still going on.
Still in full cry. Yeah. So showed a degree of optimism on the part of the citizens of Charlestown that they were willing to jump in so quickly and start the process of reconstruction. The tavern was later on added to. Mr. Newell was a ardent Mason, Freemason, and was a member of the
King Solomon's Lodge.
King Solomon's Lodge of the Masons, and he later put an addition on, known as appropriately as Mason's Hall. That was done in 1783, and became the regular meeting place of the Masons. And Paul Revere, being also an ardent Mason, was a frequent visitor to the hall. So the Warren Tavern does have that claim to fame as well, that Paul Revere raised a stein there from time to time.
Now there's always some controversy. Did George Washington ever go to the Warren Tavern?
We don't know.
Okay. All right.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
But further research might resolve that.
I know he
So-
didn't sleep there. You know, everyone's
No,
always
that's
talking about
right.
Washington slept there. No, he didn't sleep there, but I've heard that he did raise a mug, a tankard or two there,
Yes.
but there's no actual written proof that I
Yes.
found.
Right, and he was a visitor to Charlestown at a point later in time when he visited Boston and was welcomed in Charlestown briefly. So there is the possibility. As a matter of fact, probably as one of the more notable restaurants in town is if he did take a quaff while he was here or eat lunch, that's probably the place he did it.
I'm sure he did. And the Warren Tavern has been in existence since 1780 in one form or another, but it was shut down for a while.
Yes, the Warren Tavern was allowed to deteriorate over time, and come the 1960s, it was almost a shambles. Fortunately, at that point in time, urban renewal showed up, and it was felt that it had such historic significance it should be preserved rather than being demolished and replaced. A local contractor, Jim Adams, responded to that wish and became the constructor and owner of the tavern at that point in time. And of course, his work was well done. He restored the tavern to its original appearance and gave it a whole new life, and it's prospered since that time.
No relation to John Adams or Sam Adams?
No,
All right,
not that
so
we know of.
no historical. Oh, that's great.